Morning, everybody. This is the Headliner recording this morning. Headliner is a white tea from Yunnan province. Last week, we did the first white tea of this set, Soothing, also from Yunnan province, and you got a different sense of what white tea can be. You got a different sense of heaviness or density of white tea than you have from Fujian province. So today you're going to explore, or we'll explore together, some other aspects of white tea from Yunnan province. The first thing to understand, this is also grown not too far from Munghai, and this is grown, so there's many varietals in this area, and some grow really fast. Some are harvested from February through November and have very short resting period. Some, the harvest period is a little bit later, late February, all the way through September. Headliner comes from the late February all the way to September. The other thing to understand with these varietals is that the composition is different. And so in general, what you're going to see is somewhere between 4 and 5% caffeine content. You're going to see around 3 to 4% amino acids. You're going to see a huge preponderance of polyphenols, somewhere in the 10, 15, 20% range. And it really does differ by varietal. Moisture will be about 35%. And so you've got differences, and all of these differences from varietal to varietal, from pick to pick. What do I mean pick to pick? So a pick of a bud and leaves will have a total chemical constituent composition that is different than, say, bud only. And so the bud only picks, by the way, are more sensitive. You tend to get more caffeine. You'll tend to have a little bit higher polyphenol content. So these are all things to have in the back of your mind. We're not scientists. Well, we kind of are, but we're not practicing scientists in the sense we're not out in the field, we're not measuring this stuff, we're not comparing it with others. On the other hand, I am looking at numbers, not because I want to wow anybody or not because I want you to really think about that. From your perspective, is there a difference between 4.7% caffeine versus 5.1% caffeine? And the answer is no. The differences like that are inconsequential, especially from my perspective, when we talk about the reason we're all in this together. We're all in this together. Yeah, we like the health benefits. We like the different flavor profiles. We love that stuff. But at the end of the day, when we drink tea, we have to be satisfied. It has to taste good. It has to smell good. If it doesn't meet up to that basic requirement, I can tell you, this thing cures cancer. I can't tell you that under any circumstance. Let me repeat that. This thing allegedly cures cancer. And if you didn't like it, you would find ways not to drink it. And you'd find ways to drink other things. So the starting point is that flavor and the interestingness of that flavor. And that's what leads us to become consistent. What else leads us to become consistent? It is being present. We talked a little bit about this with soothing. When you brew your tea, the more present you are, the more engaged you are, the more you understand the tea. So I ask you this. Do you think that when the farmer is processing this tea, that he or she is not present? Think that, la, 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 let's see, thinking about all the money I'm going to make, and oh, which big official is going to. Answer is no. When we're with these farmers during the processing modality, it's really interesting to see how they're really aware of everything. They go into a room, first thing they do, sniff. Does this smell right? Second thing they do, they always kind of run their hand through the tea leaves. It's almost like this is an unconscious habit. But what it really is an understanding of an intimate understanding of these leaves and where they are in the process. And if something is wrong, they don't need any instruments to tell them, oh, something wrong here. They don't. They were able to smell it. They were able to hear it, because if there's a process where there's any frying going on, well, that doesn't sound right. They're able to actually feel it. So presence in tea practice, presence in tea processing. What about presence when you're picking the tea? Now, without embarrassing anybody, and in fact, actually only using me as the example, when we have a group with us, usually I'm thinking about how's the group doing, so forth. And I know I'm supposed to be picking, but I'm not present. And when you're not present, you know, the farmer comes after you picked and looks, they don't say anything. And they try not to wrinkle their nose, because this thing, and they put their hand in, and it's almost as if they say, Sophie, and so incorrect. What happened to you? Now, because I'm a guest, they don't actually allow those words normally to come out of their mouths. Occasionally, they actually do come out of their mouths. But it's this sense of every element of tea, from the pick all the way to the brewing and appreciation, requires presence. You get presence, you get a reward. You don't have presence, you get that reward too. That's not a good reward. What else should we know about headliner before we try it today? What we should know is it takes about 8,000 hand motions to get a pound of this. Not that many compared to some of the other teas. Remember, there are some teas where you gotta have 30,000 plus hand motions. So this is great. Only 8,000? I could probably do that in 10 minutes. Maybe not. You get the point though. So this should tell you something else about these. I'm not going to tell you what it's going to tell you. I'm going to let you see what it tells you in a brief moment. The other thing you should know about these particular leaves is, should there be a cold snap and it get beneath about 28 or 27, these buds will turn no good. Cannot do it. Cannot do it. So they're very sensitive. Now, if this plant had leaves and it fell down to 28 or 27, it survived. But the bud only, when that's your pick, that's a problem. That's a problem.
Do the farmers ever put out, like you see in some of our wine farms, grape farms, or grape growers up here, when they're trying to preserve grapes for winemaking, you see them putting out sometimes warming pots and other systems to try to deal with cold snaps? Do farmers do that for the teas that they're growing?
So this is a great question. Here in California, when you go to the grape fields, if there is the thought or the prediction of a cold snap, farmers have certain tools they can use to try and keep the temperature from harming the grapes. And so the question really is, what techniques do the Chinese farmers have for preventing harming of the tea plants? And the answer is they really don't have a lot of good techniques to do it. It's really, really hard. You know, the advantage of grapes is they kind of clump, they grow in a clump. The disadvantage of leaves, especially if it's old bush or tea tree, God, it's way the heck up there. How am I going to get that protective in a way that it's not going to damage the leaves? So it is hard. It's much harder. But it was a great question and a great thought about that. All right. I could blather on about this for a much longer time, as you all know. But the tea master is making lots of noise, which seems to indicate to me she's thirsty. And keeping the tea master thirsty should be, yes, on your list of one of the dangerous things you don't want to see. So without further ado, let me bring in the tea master, Biju.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Yeah. So today we do, the white tea, huh? It's from Yunnan. Okay. This is, but
Oh, wait a minute.
did you remember, I tasted everybody last week. So this we do today.
Look at the size of those.
Yes.
Does everybody see?
Yeah. Wow.
Is that really a leaf or a big worm?
Okay. Yes, we do.
Okay, the tableau is, by the way, it's a leaf, just in case you knew.
As long as it's delicious,
Your tableau should have at least 2 cups and a strainer. You can have a 3rd cup if you want to dissipate steam or aerate the water faster. 170 degrees is what we're looking for. Jigasher Sophie has Cuppa. And this is a 4-minute steeping. Oh, it's 5 grams. I apologize. 5 grams per
4
minute.
minutes.
Yep.
Before 6 1.
Oh, you mean the soothing? Oh, that's right. I didn't tell you last week.
It's a lot.
Soothing is 6 grams. This is 5 grams headline. So the dissipated steamed water, aerated water goes into pot with a spigot so that the tea master can control where the pour is going to go. Shakes the leaves first horizontally and then adds the water and then turns on the timer. So you notice that the tea master realized that so many of the leaves were going to be on top. And this is a judgment call that she went ahead and poured actually at the end on some of the leaves to make sure they got in the water. This has several pores to it. And therefore having a few of the leaves on top, not really getting very much absorption this first time around is good. But if they were all clumped on top, that would leave this first steeping a little light. So one of the things you're going to notice right away is an aroma from this. And this is not the aroma you're used to with any of the silver needle. This is silver needle grade, right? It's buds only. And so you've had numerous silver needle grapes, stunning, actual silver needle, both from Fuding and Zhenghe. We've done Compass before. So we've had a range. We've done eruption, I think, also before. We've had this range of possibilities. This will surprise you because this expands what you know about white tea. And again, this is tied to Yunnan, and it's tied to this terroir. And in this case, this farmer used very, very traditional methods to go ahead and do this silver needle, because this farmer has practiced over several years, has really crafted and gained ability to handle these leaves. And one of the things you'll notice when you look at these leaves are that there's lots of trichomes on them. And that's generally speaking a characteristic of the silver needle class. And usually your finished cup is full of trichomes. Trichomes, as a reminder, are full of polyphenols, and that's the natural defense mechanism of the plant against bugs. When bugs eat those things, they don't like them. And so the result is, oh, let's go to the next plant. And this turns out to be more important than ever in Yunnan, because remember, I said they're harvesting from February to early September. And so this is a different rhythm, say, than Fuding or Zhenghe or any of the places in Fujian province, because they're harvesting all year round. Why is this so different? If you were going to harvest all year round in Fujian province, what must you do, which you cannot do in Yunnan? You must use pesticides, because the later you are in the season, the more voracious and ferocious those bugs are. In Yunnan, oh, the bugs are plenty big and they're plenty aggressive, but they're in trees after all. The bugs are looking for fresh meat. They're looking for tender leaves. They're not looking for these huge, enormous, well-developed leaves, because those are harder. They don't taste as good as the fresh leaves. So they don't spray in these type of forests. Not only do they not spray because they're not getting aggressively attacked, they don't spray because they realize this is a valuable resource and they don't want to wreck this resource. The farmers know, no spraying. Timer has gone off properly. Tea master is separating the tea liquid from the tea buds. Remember, this is bud only, silver leaf gray. And you're going to notice some things right away. The first thing you're going to notice is the aroma. That's the first thing. Wow. We're going to enter the quality arena together, because this aroma is so unusual. I wonder what the quality arena is going to tell me. Maybe while you all weren't looking, the tea master slipped something in here. Let's see. Oh my goodness. Sides of my tongue, astringent. Ooh, a nice aftertaste. I don't have the energetics yet, but I will. Let's take a second sip. Oh, you know, we must have all been victims of fairy dust while the tea master was doing this, because I would swear that there's honey in here. This thing is so distinctively sweet. I know I'm supposed to let you tell me, but since this week I have no self-control, that occasionally happens, as you know, I'm telling you. And I think you'll detect this. We don't have any other silver needle grade type tea that's like this. This thing, once we found it, it was like, oh, this is an automatic. This is so unusual. And look what it did to your understanding of what silver needle grade can be. Should have completely changed what you're thinking of silver needle grade can be. Certainly changed mine. And for me, this thing just keeps getting sweeter and sweeter. It's really remarkable. And it is almost unbelievable in the sense that how is any tea, especially so lightly processed like this? And so it has all to do with the terroir. It's mostly red soil where this comes from. It has to do with farmer skill. They handled it very carefully to make sure they could preserve that flavor. Oh, and by the way, you all had something to do with it because you brewed it properly. If you had used Starbucks, did I just say that word? I stopped myself before I completed. If you had used big chain water temperature, what would have happened? You'd have flattened that sweetness. Not good. And you wouldn't have known what a huge treat this is. So I leave you with this thought. We've been in China. We're still in Japan. Presumably, we've had great success. Presumably, these 6 weeks have been very good for you because you all have been careful, productive, smart, and lucky. You know, in my book, I actually have to put it the other way around. I have to be lucky, and then all the other stuff follows. Next week, I think you'll be seeing us in person. Though we won't be open yet, we will be somewhere where we can do the next session in person. So your responsibilities this week, as usual, same as always. Stay healthy, be careful, and we really look forward to interacting with you next week. Bye-bye now.
Take care.